Okay, 2:05. Call this meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us, wherever you may be joining us from. We will stand up and salute the flag at this time if you have the ability.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one
nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody, good afternoon. Again, thank you for those folks that are joining us. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote, or excuse me, we'll do roll call. Mr. Bentley? Already checked in. Ms. Bischoff? Here. Rappleton? Here. Mr. Fitch?
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Harbin?
Present.
Present.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Nasa? You're on the line, Mr. Nasa. Mr. Newell? Here. Ms. Preston?
Present.
Ms. Price?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Van Dee? Mr. Wagner? Mr. Wallbauer?
Here.
Ms. Wilson? You on the call, Ms. Wilson? And lastly, Chairman Hyder.
Here.
We'll move to approval of the minutes from our special session of March 17th. I have a motion by Mr. Van Dee. Do I have a second?
Any changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move on to our new business for the agenda item number 1 on motion of Mr. Wagner, authorizing the chairman of the Cortland County Legislature to have such powers and to perform such duties as are necessary for the conduct of day-to-day business of the county and suspending certain county board rules affecting the powers, duties, and referrals to committee of the whole and any standing committee. May I have a second, please? Second. Second by Mr. Newell.
Discussion?
This will require a 2/3 roll call vote.
No discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bentley? Ms. Bischoff?
Yes.
Mr. Eccleston? Yes. Mr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Harbin?
Yes.
Ms. Homer?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Nasa? Hold on. We seem to be having trouble with Mr. Jones.
So give me a yes for Bentley.
There's Mr. Bentley. Thank you, Mr. Bentley. Doesn't look like Mr. Knopf has audio capabilities. Mr. Newell? Yes. Ms. Preston?
Also not.
Ms. Preston?
Yes.
Right.
Hey, Joseph, here to have some problems with audio. I'm going to conduct this by your telephone versus and by my phone, okay? Just talk, you're gonna conduct the meeting by your phone.
Yeah, I can't even log on 6 times.
So just stay on the line, Joe, thank you.
Okay.
We go back to Mr. Stock,
Yes.
Mr. Van Dee, Mr. Wagner, Mr. Wallbauer,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
and Mr. Hyder.
Yes.
I have a quick comment. Excuse me. Tim Bennett of the Cortland Voice wanted me to let you know that he is live streaming the meeting.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item number 2. On motion authorizing the county administrator to have such power to perform such duties as are necessary to conduct the day-to-day business of the county. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bischoff.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Move on to agenda item number 3 on motion, Mr. Wagner. Authorize the engagement of professional services for consulting, strategic planning, organizational assessment, and leadership development for Cortland County.
Second.
Second by Mr. Newell.
Any discussion?
I would like to,
I'm sorry, can you please tell me who's talking right now?
yeah, Kevin, right, this week,
Excuse me, Kevin, are you on the line?
yeah, I wasn't acknowledged, I just wanted to be acknowledged this week.
Okay, thank you. I expect a robust discussion on this, and I will lead the discussion and answer out a few questions before I turn it over to legislature. Going to answer out 4 questions that have been coming up most recently in the last week. The first one is, why do we engage in an organizational assessment when we have a county administrator? In the 36 counties that TransPro and CGR have been engaged in New York State, 34 of them had either a county administrator or a county executive. Having a county administrator is not the issue. The issue is, it is rare for any county to have on staff an organizational development person, and that is what we need. And that is the role that TransPro will fill for our county for a short period of time. Second most popular question is, why should we spend $127,000 hiring TransPro? They have a track record of saving counties money and transforming how they do business better. Set themselves up for long-term success. Some examples of fiscal success in New York State are Broome, $600,000, Monroe, $6 million, Nassau, $25 million, Livingston, $1 million, Sarasota, $4 million. To me, that is a proven track record. The third question, why should we engage this during the COVID crisis? To me, it does not matter what crisis we are facing. COVID, flood, some other natural disaster. When we come out of this crisis, we are still facing our significant fiscal shortfall. Cutting our spending is not going to get us out of this. You cut to survive. Organizational transformation is the way to succeed. The fourth question is, why don't we delay this? Why should we do this now? Why should we bring this in now? We are not ready at this time to engage TransPro in Cortland County. It is not reasonable for me to think that TransPro would be on site before June 15th at the earliest. Our leadership team, along with TransPro, will decide when the time is ready for Cortland County to proceed. I will open the floor for discussion. Thank you for allowing me to speak first. Any questions?
So are we ready yet?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so Kevin would like to speak. So Cortland County is far from being on its feet. If we don't do something, we never will. Legislators need to look at our future, keeping in mind the current crisis that Cortland County and New York State are in, and what we are facing and what we will face in years to come. If the legislator does not act and find innovative ways to lessen the blow, we will never come out of this, and we will potentially see a 20% tax increase, not just to the county, but it will trickle down to our local governments. This is not another Cortland County study. This is the first step in the defining of a definite action in keeping things in place where legislators, administrator, budget and finance officer, and department heads can utilize in making our county fiscally sound, not just for the short term, but for the years to come. Cortland County is just getting our house in order, hiring an administrator, hiring a budget and finance officer, all with credentials to do the job. But they can't do this on their own. We need buy-in from all the department heads, employees, legislators to make this successful if this passes. By following through to the end, and if we need to get 100% commitment, and or else we're going to be throwing this all away. And then it will be another step. And I'm not here for that. As being a legislator, when I came in, was to do something positive and to find a way forward. And for us to go through and say, if this fails today, then what is the legislator's strategy? Before the COVID crisis, our county was already in financial hardship. And I've been here for 4 months and we haven't done anything. And I really cannot put this totally on the administrator because he was stepping in a 6-foot hole when he got here. And we need to do something positive, and this is one of them. Thank you.
I saw Ms. Preston was up next. Kelly?
Thank you. We do not need to spend money to find out that we already spend too much. Now is not the time to be spending over $100,000 on hiring a Florida-based consultant. And this is merely the first step in this spending process. We need to pause. We have the key financial positions in place. We have Rob Kapora as administrator. No one knows the county more than Rob. He's worked with every department and probably 90% or more of the entire staffing of Cortland County for his career. We have Andrea Herzog as finance director. She has brought this county out of the trenches. These are just two, and there are others. I believe that they can guide us through this budget chaos. For the legislators that say this is in the budget, I say we also have $3.5 million in the budget from sales tax revenue. The 2020 budget is a fluid document, and we all realize this is just one of the many revenue resources which will be largely decreased. No fault of anyone, just reality. Question has been asked, what has Kelly done for the budget? I voted at the March session to stop the $500,000 that would be spent on new plow trucks. New trucks are a luxury, and I realized that day the county needed to immediately pause as this was 2 days after our county was declared a state of emergency. Again, CHIPS money and a fluid budget. I stood alone in that vote. I am willing to stick my neck out and make changes. I've said no many times, and you all know it. Now is not the time to hire a consultant firm. It's been said, if not now, when? Perhaps in the fall, when we have gotten through the health crisis, and we can only hope that our county is back to some normalcy, the departments have gotten through their backlog, and we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Preston. I have Mr. Waldbauer up next.
Thank you. The global crisis is going to dramatically multiply the smaller crisis that our county already got ourselves into. The smaller crisis, in my opinion, was due to 10 years of legislators that thought they could do better than professionals. I think it's naive to expect that our administrator or legislators with no experience in fiscal crisis management of county government will solve this multi-million-dollar problem. Our administrator was not hired with the expectation that he is an expert in financial crisis management. He was hired for day-to-day operation of the county. Guidance from full-time experts is needed, and needed quickly. And as Ron Van D stated yesterday, if you vote no on this, then I expect you to provide the solution to the $6 million problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waldbauer. I see Ms. Homer had waited as well. Would you like to speak again?
Yes, please. I originally, when we first heard about this proposal, was vehemently in favor of it. I still think we can use the services. I do not think that this is the time for us to be taking the steps. You're saying you don't think he can even come here till June. About an hour and a half ago, the governor, announced that New York is again on pause until at least May 15th. I've heard people say, well, we can get them background documents, they can be reviewing them. However, that review is still going to take into consideration, and there are going to be questions for department heads. They are struggling right now and doing their very best to do the day-to-day running of the county. We also heard the chairman say we are in a hiring freeze, which we need to adopt a motion to do that. Okay, if we're in a hiring freeze, then that needs to start with us. We do not need to be hiring an outside consultant. I have spent 21 years as an employee of that county. Now, I realize this is not a study, but we have had other consultants in for other ideas, and no one has paid attention. At this point in time, Mr. Wagner has said in the paper, we could potentially have layoffs. I have also heard that from Mr. Kapora. We, in all good consciousness, I don't believe we can be expending this money at this point in time. We postpone it, consider it again in the fall. I most likely will be in support of it, but I cannot support it at this point in time. My constituents have spoke loud and clear, and that includes retired county department heads who know this budget better than anyone on this phone call, or how the county budget works. And they have said, absolutely bring support in after you figure out where you're going to land. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, only because I'm having trouble figuring out where she is, Mrs. Price, are you available?
Yes, I'm available. I would like to speak to the subject. From the beginning, I did not think we should be spending this kind of money. It's a good idea to do, but not at that price tag. In fact, in the past, for several years, we did have summits where department heads and legislators got together under the direction of TC3 staff, and we came up with some great ideas. I think we can do that again without this cost. We cannot afford it. We have to start being prudent. Please vote no.
Thank you, Sandy. I believe Mr. Van D looking to weigh in.
I would say that 2 pages on the cost. These look we did.
Hey, Ron, can you speak up for us, please?
Yeah, he needs to be by the phone.
I've got the phone.
Oh, we can hear you. Can you hear you, Ron?
Can't hear you.
If you could just come forward up here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Stand by. Big room and the mics don't always read everybody the same.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, I said if not now, when? If this is not the time. We've had this problem since August of last year. I came up with 2 pages of things we should have looked at for cuts. We did nothing. But what I was told is, first day of January or the 2nd, we're going to go to work on this. We're going to resolve this. We're in the 4th month. Nothing has been done. Come October, nothing will be done. What will happen is our debt will be bigger. So I say now is the time. 2 months ago, I never would have supported this. And had we done our job, I wouldn't support this today.
Mr. Eccleston, and again, you're going to have to speak up or come up front.
How's that?
How's that? Anybody on the phone? Can you
Can you
hear me?
hear me now?
Ann, can you hear Mitch?
I think so.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Mitch.
Okay. I've only been here 3 months, 3.5 months, and I've listened to a lot of everything. However, I have some experience dealing with some consultants. I worked in tax schools. I worked here for 40 years. I've been president for 21 years. Directly involved in a consulting firm that came in 1895. Her approached me and said, hey, I've got to do something. I'm making any money. We're going to have to close the doors. There's 200 employees. I bought into it. It wasn't easy. I bought into it. The consulting firm came in there. We structured everything we did. Everybody was involved, 100% participation, because it was their job. They came in, restructured all the jobs, made the jobs easier, and did not lay off any employee. However, they didn't hire anybody for 4 years. They used cross training. People were learning other jobs, so when a job came up, promoted within. That's how great a consulting firm, and I can't tell you what the name of it was now. I mean, this was years ago, but they actually did work for the federal government, the state, cheaper electricity. They got cheaper gas, and really, first 18 months after the consultants left, they were profiting $5 million more than they were. They hung on for another 20 years. Plant left Cortland because it went to South Carolina. It's hard to do business here in Cortland. They had a chance to make more money, but they didn't leave Cortland because they weren't making money. They made money. Had it not been for that consulting firm coming in, they would have never lasted that 20 years.
Thank you, Mr. Eccleston. Is there anybody else here in the chamber that would like to weigh in? Mr. Newell.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Easy vote is to say no. I really do think that's the easy way out and the wait and see approach. $100,000 is a lot of money, but this firm should at least make $100,000 back. I think as we look back on this after, hopefully if we hire them, we will get more of a return on our investment than $127,000 for asking today to vote.
I'm going to go to Mr. Nosif. Joe's on a separate line here, and we'll do our best to amplify that phone line. Joe, did you want to say something?
Yeah, listening to everybody talking, I understand both sides of this issue. I know that for many years we've been, county legislators have been trying to work on money challenges, but they haven't been able to come across the board and agree to work together. This is the end result of long years of having to go through this. Bringing in a consulting firm might get us answers to where we can make cuts and devise. But the problem is, if we don't all agree and we don't all work together as a whole to make this happen, we're going to be right back to the same place we've been with every other one of these studies or consultants. I'm very concerned right now, and I can't in good conscience make a decision to spend this kind of money, considering the crisis that we're facing. I mean, the financial fallout is going to be huge on this, and I'm more concerned about where we're going to land when this is all said and done before spending that kind of money. I'm not against trying to work to do better for the county, and I'm not even necessarily against working with some type of consulting firm. I just think the money right now and the amount of it is just not the time to spend.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I'm just letting the group know. It appears you got a message to that Mr. Fitch has lost connection. Ah, there he is. Kevin, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Let's see. Linda Jones, did you have anything you wanted to add? Linda, the line's open.
I know Dick Stock is flagging down.
Okay. Rich, anything?
Yes, I'd like to say I understand Mr. Fitch. I understand Chris. I felt that this time is no, because we don't know this COVID-19 problem. I mentioned recently that I would support this in the fall. At this time, I can't do it because right now, as Ann Homer mentioned, we're paused until 15th of May. And I think that we should look and see what's happening at that and what the government or the state's going to put down on us before we start making these moves. And to say that we've been sitting around for 4 months, I don't remember a meeting being called up where we could talk about trying to help out and do some cuts. So I think that we should go forward with doing that. Let's have some cuts. Let's do what we have to do before we hire somebody to come in. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Mr. Hartman with his hand up. Mr. Hartman, you're not coming through for whatever reason.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
This has been a difficult issue as we've looked through, leading the change within Cortland. I understand absolutely that $127,000 during this time is a lot of money, and I've wrestled very hard with with this. But there are a couple of things that I would like to just highlight for everybody, having been now in the legislature for a couple of years, is I don't see that everybody refers to cuts. I don't see this as an opportunity to cut anything. I see it as an opportunity to fundamentally transform Portland County's government. We've looked at this from a multitude of different areas. We had seen outside groups from the newspaper 3 years ago presented suggestions on what other counties did. We saw former Chairman Charlie Sudbrink provide a report on his analysis of how we compare to other counties. We actually had a comparative studies committee made up of myself, Linda Jones, Kelly Preston, Paul Hyder, Michael Borilski, and others that looked significantly into these issues last legislative term. And coming out of that work that we did from there, we weren't able to identify significant areas of transformational change compared to other counties. We've looked over the last couple of budget cycles at multiple places that we could cut and remove services and other elements from our budget. There aren't those opportunities again. We need to find transformational opportunities within Portland County's government. We need to look at it in a new way. And I absolutely understand that $127,000 during this time where we know the budget is going to be absolutely crunched and we're all locked in our homes is a tough sell and it's a tough bill. But in my mind and in speaking with my constituents, if we spend $127,000, it can save $1 million, which is conservative to the amount that TransPro has said that they've suggested that they could save for us. But if we could save $1 million, that's $900,000 in savings this year potentially that we could make. But that $1 million then carries over to next year's budget and budget for the third year and the fourth year and the fifth year, and it builds cumulatively over time. And if we can do even more transformational change by going through this process, then I'm all in for making that long-term investment on savings for this county. I'm not seeing this as a spending opportunity. I see this as a savings opportunity and a transformational change opportunity. And I've wrestled with this back and forth, and I've spoken with many of my constituents. And I think if I look at it that way, then I see myself clear to supporting this because we need it. And I've heard people say, well, what if we wait till the fall? But I haven't heard people say, no, we don't really need to do this. It's a question of timing. We know if we approve this today, they're not going to start right away. They will be starting when it's safe for them to return and for safe for them to come forward. So there's no reason to delay to the fall. We can go ahead and start now. We can get this, we have the money allocated, we can get the ball rolling, because we do know that when this all comes out and we're able to move forward again, we're going to be in a world of hurt, and we need every assistance we can to put forward a game plan for our leadership team with Rob Pecor and others to lead us into 2021 and beyond. And I think TransPro will help us do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harbin.
Well said, Bo.
At this time, I would turn to either Mr. Wagner or Ms. Bischoff. We can certainly do that. We want to make sure folks have ample opportunity to be heard, Mr. Wagner. I understand.
Can you hear me?
Somebody on the line, a thumbs up. Can you hear Kathy Bischoff?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Thumbs up. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yes, okay. Yes. First, I think that every very ill.
No, hold on.
They wrote me a letter.
Oh.
Let's try this one. Hold it right up there. Question.
You were going to want to have the feedback. Is that working? Can you hear that? Yes? Yeah? Okay. First, I want to thank everyone for being honest and really express their views. I think that that's probably the most important part of this process, for us to have that type of willingness to share where we are. I have been a supporter of bringing someone in for quite some time, like Chris and she last fall. Because I believe not that there was a lot of dedication around the table and talent, but we just didn't have the wherewithal or bandwidth to do this type of organizational assessment. It really does take a seasoned, experienced individual who's worked with many types of organizations to realize the type of transformation that we're trying to achieve by hiring someone like this. Again, we're not asking someone to do this, but this really, in terminology, is a turnaround step. Someone to bring in to have you reset the course of the ship. I think we can do it. We have great talent. We have the department heads, and then the legislators around the table who are willing to take that type of time. But we need to have someone who has the experience, the will, and enable us to do it. We right now know we have a $2.7 million problem. Where are we going? The government is out from here. So I'm not clear why we should delay trying to fix a problem. That I don't understand it. I guess that we need to be careful about the timing, that we clearly need to make sure that we've reached a point where department heads can begin to participate fully, and right now would not be the time. It'd probably be later in June. But we already know that our minimum amount that we need to address is 2.7. It's only going to go from here. So I would argue with my colleagues, please do consider that we do need to start. We do need to start making this commitment. That we're serious, we're prepared to begin to address the issues that many of us have identified over at least the last 12 months without being part of, this group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hit that button, would you? Thank you. Is there anybody else on the legislature that would like to speak to agenda item number 3? Again, we have a motion by Mr. Wagner, seconded by Mr. Newell.
Move it.
Guys,
I reckon I'll have a roll call vote, please.
very good. Mr. Bentley. Mr. Bentley. We'll come back to you, Doug. Ms. Bischoff. Mr. Eccleston.
Yes.
Mr. Fitch.
Yes.
Carvin.
Yes.
Ms. Homer.
No.
Ms. Jones. I'll come back to you, Linda. Mr. Knopf.
No.
Mr. Newell.
Yes.
Ms. Preston.
No.
Andy Price.
No.
Mr. Stock.
He's muted.
Mr. Stock.
No.
Mr. Van Dee.
Yes.
Mr. Wagner. Mr. Waldbauer.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Chairman Hyder.
Yes.
Doug, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
No, sir.
My vote is a no. You hear me?
Yes, sir. Ms. Jones, are you on the line? I'm trying to get Ms. Jones' vote through electronic means. And Ms. Jones has recorded a no vote. Okay. Carried weighted vote of 28,962, majority 24,069, motion carries. Okay, we now move on to agenda item number 4, on motion of Mr. Wagner, abolish 5 highway crew leaders and create 5 crew leaders, highway solid waste department. I have a second by Mr. Van Dee.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Opposed?
I'm sorry, did I hear a no vote? Motion carried unanimously. Agenda item number 5, authorize agreement, environmental monitoring with Cortland County Soil and Water Conservation District, Highway Department, Division of Solid Waste. May I have a second?
Any discussion?
Can I just ask a point of clarification, because there seemed to be an inconsistency in the agendas that were released? Can you confirm the dates on the final resolved at the very last sentence? We had differing versions of this document.
Yes, sir. It should read ending December 31, 2020.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We move on to agenda item number 6 on motion of Mr. Wagner for the 2020 budget to accept funds for emergency preparedness and authorize agreement with Health Research Incorporated. This is contract number 1596-13, consolidated funding document application 93.069, Health Department.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Agenda item number 7 on motion of Mr. Wagner. Amend the 2020 budget to accept funds and authorize agreement with Health Research Incorporated. This is contract number 6314-01, Health Department.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move on to agenda item number 8 on motion of Mr. Wagner. Appoint members, Criminal Justice Advisory Board.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Agenda item number 9 on motion of Mr. Wagner. Accept proposal, authorize agreement with Johnson Controls Fire Protection LP for annual fire alarm testing and certification services at various county facilities, Buildings and Grounds Department.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
it's Ann. Just a clarification, I know the question was asked and Mr. Miller couldn't access his microphone the other day. This is a 5-year contract.
Yeah. It is a 5-year.
Is that a point of information, Ann?
Yes, someone had asked during our meeting on Tuesday, and Chuck tried to answer but wasn't able to activate his microphone, so I just wanted to make sure everyone had the info they had asked for.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Agenda item number 10 on motion of Mr. Wagner. Appoint members, Cayuga Cortland Workforce Development Board, Employment and Training Grant Administration.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Agenda item number 11 on motion of Mr. Wagner. Amend the 2020 budget to include 2019 purchase order encumbrances, budget and finance.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Agenda item number 12 on motion of Mr. Wagner. Authorize agreement with NTS Data Services Board of Elections.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, please.
Yep. Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify, after Budget and Finance on Tuesday, I did have a conversation with Commissioner Tom Brown, and he says that for the 5-year contract, there is approximately a 3% cost savings. This is their primary election operating system. This has nothing to do with any of the voting machines. This is their day-to-day data operating equipment, and it is tied into New York. So I had questions on it. I think others did, so hopefully that clarifies. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bishop.
Have an understanding as to why was it reduced down as opposed to
I spoke to Mr. Brown about that issue, and there was no intent to delay. They were having some issues with communication with the state, and then obviously the recent events unfolded, so it was a delay, not applicable to our Board of Elections. Yes. Yes. Further question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Agenda item number 13 on motion of Mr. Wagner, amend the 2020 budget to accept grant funds and authorize agreement with Redlich Horowitz Foundation for Mobile Technology, Department of Social Services.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That concludes our formal agenda. Typically, during our regular session, we would offer this time for announcements from legislators. We'll start with anybody that's here remotely. Anything to offer?
I've got something.
Hold on, Mr. Dawson. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so I just want to go back to voting to hire the firm that we have done so. And I just want to make sure that all of us continue to come together on this, regardless of party affiliation. I've been called Rhino and everything else this week. I just want to make sure that we all make a commitment, firm commitment to do this. Follow the suggestions from the company and just make this thing work, regardless of how we voted yes or no. It's been passed, so we need to move on. We need to work together on this.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Anybody else on the call?
Yeah, I would echo, if I may, echo those concerns. You have to vote your conscience. You do it. And then the vote is made and you move on.
Any other folks electronically with announcement?
Yeah, Eric, this is Bo.
Go ahead, Mr. Harmon.
I just wanted to quickly, because as chair of Buildings and Grounds, I did want to just take a quick opportunity to thank the Buildings and Grounds team and the Information Technology team, who both report into Buildings and Grounds. They've done a bang-up job of trying to help make sure that our county facilities are stayed sanitized and cleaned, doing extra duty to just make sure that they try to keep our essential workers in the county office building safe. And for the IT team, they spun this ability to do WebEx meetings very quickly on short notice, and they've been providing vital support to the rest of the county. So I just wanted to thank them as chair of the Buildings and Grounds. And I appreciate the hard work, as the hard work of all our essential employees throughout county government. They're doing a bang-up job, and I really appreciate everything.
Anybody else joining us electronically? Announcement?
I'd like to just join in thanking both Laura and the firm, and Krista Monroe, and the tasking, Sharon Doolittle for the great job that they're doing right now, responding to our residents' needs in this code. And so putting in all the hours and the steps in me. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? Chairman Hyder?
Yeah, I'd like to offer up a couple of comments on the professional services vote. I know over the past 2 or 3 weeks it's been a contentious subject among us legislators and a contentious subject in our community. Of course, I witnessed some lobbying, got some emails, and I would offer this up to our legislature. The vote today was to hire professional services. I would ask that we come together immediately to move our county forward on this professional services action plan and hiring of Transgro. We need to come together now because we do not want to put the sentiment in the community that we are fractured and not willing to work for our community. If anybody does have a problem with putting together with this and is not able to bring themselves together on this subject and work together, because even though we're hiring a consultant, it will take a tremendous amount of work of every legislator to make this come to fruition. If anybody cannot support this after the vote, please let us know by a phone call, and I'd appreciate that on the assumption that we might be able to come together on this. And I thank you in advance.
I do have one announcement coming to us from the Workforce Development Agency. Ms. Buggs would ask that I remind for small businesses, we do have and again, thank the county partners at the BDCIDA, the Chamber of Commerce, and again, Workforce Development for coming together and assisting the county with resourcing these for this. We were able to secure another 1,000 masks this afternoon. As Chairman Hyder working with these folks to get that done. So if any of your constituents or anybody watching or listening to this needs access to that, again, contact the Workforce Development Office, or you can contact the County. Any additional announcements for the betterment of the cause? Hearing none, we stand adjourned at 2:56. Thank you.
Be well, everyone.